Hello class, my name is James Battaglia and I will be teaching, and I am a guest speaker teaching you about the male and female sexual anatomy and response systems. I am a fictional sexologist and some background history. Sexology is a scientific study of sex. A sexologist is someone who has studied all the areas of the sex, including anatomy, physiology, sexual development, orientation, and the dynamic sexual relationships, and the act itself. So, one thing to note is sexologist looks at all different disciplines of science to understand the human condition, including such as history of sex, the social aspect, the psychological aspect, the biology and gender studies, and many more, in order to see how sex works in the context of social, cultural, and religious environments to study through. Alright, so getting that out of the way, let's talk about anatomy. Let's talk about the male anatomy first, because I am male and I know practically everything about my body right now. So, alright, so first you need to know that the male sex organ can be different shapes and sizes, but all carry the same traits. There are 6 external factors outside of the body and 8 internal factors, which is inside. The first external part is the glands, or more commonly referred to as the head of the penis. It is the very opening of your urethra, and it is where you pre-ejaculate from, and semen comes out of, and it's where you pee out of, hence why the urethra is there. The shaft, on the other hand, of your penis, it extends from the bottom of the glands to where it connects to your lower belly. It looks like a tube shape and it's where your urethra is inside the tubes. Alright, so next we have the foreskin, and it is a patch of skin that covers the head or the glands for protection. When your penis gets hard, the foreskin pulls back to the tip, and the tip is exposed. Alright? Now you can get circumcised, you can take the foreskin off. It doesn't really matter. But that's your choice. Alright? The frenulum is where your foreskin meets the underside of your penis. It looks like a small V shape just below the head, and it's usually parts that remains after circumcision if you want that, and it is very sensitive. Second to last is the scrotum, or more commonly known as the balls. It is a sack of skin that hangs below the penis. Your scrotum holds two ball-shaped testicles and the main thing about the scrotum is it keeps the testes at a room temperature, so it can produce semen. Alright, if it's cold outside or if you're aroused, your scrotum seeps back into your go closer to your body, and vice versa. If it's warm, it hangs low. Alright, and now the last part of the external male anatomy is your anus, or the butthole. It is the opening of your rectum. The anus it has a lot of sensitive nerve endings, and it's where you poop. Alright. Moving on to the internal parts. You already know the testicles, how they produce semen. Yeah. And next is the epidermis. There are two tube shape that connects to the scrotum, and it's where your sperm matures. It's connected to the vas deferens, right? And the vas deferens is a long and narrow tube that carries the sperm from the epidermis to the seminal vascularies, and when you ejaculate. Alright, there are two of them, one connected to each epidermis, and the seminal vascularies are two organs that produce semen. The fluid that sperm moves through, sperm moves around in. They are located in your bladder. Alright? I don't want you mess that up with testicles. It's not happening. The prostate gland is a gland that makes a fluid that helps your sperm move. It is about size of a walnut or golf ball, and it's pretty sensitive to pressure. Alright? And that's it for that. And now the cowpers gland produce a fluid called pre-seminal fluid or pre-cum. The fluid and the main job of this fluid is to prepare your urethra for ejaculation. It reduces the friction so your semen can move more easily. Alright? The Cowper's gland is under the prostate gland, and it is attached to your urethra. Alright? It is also called the bulbarous gland. I'm not sure. The urethra, we talked about that. It's the tube that carries urine or pee, pre-seminal fluid, and semen. Alright, now the final thing is the cremaster. The cremaster is a muscle that moves your scrotum and testes closer to your body if you're cold or aroused. Or when someone touches your inner thigh. But that's here nor there. Alright, now on to the female aspect of the anatomy. Alright, it's a little more complicated than the male anatomy, and it has 6 external factors and 10 internal factors. The first external factor is something called the labia or lips. They are folds of skin around your vaginal opening. The labia majora, the outer lips, are usually fleshy and covered with pubic hair. The labia minora are the inside of the lips. They begin at your clitoris and end under the opening of your vagina. Alright? So now we're going to the clitoris. Okay. The tip of the clitoris is located at the top of your vulva, which is your outer sex. It's where your inner lips meet. Everyone is a different size, so it doesn't matter. Some can be as small as pea, others can be a finger, it doesn't matter. Your clitoris is made of spongy tissue that becomes swollen when aroused. It has thousands of nerve endings, more than any part of the human body. That's saying something. And its only purpose is to make you feel good. The opening of your urethra is the tiny hole that which you pee out of is located just below the clitoris, and the opening of the vagina is right below your urethra opening. It's where the menstrual blood and babies come out. And the anus, we talked about the male anus before. It's exactly the same. It's the opening of your rectum. It has a lot of sensitive nerve endings for pleasure, or pain, or for anal stimulation. And then finally, we have the mons pubis. The mons is a fleshy mound above your vulva. After puberty, it's covered with pubic hair, and its only purpose is to cushion your pubic bone in your body. Alright, so that's the external part. Now the internal parts are a little tricky. First we have the vagina itself. Alright, and that's a tube that connects to your vulva with your crevice and uterus. It is where babies and menstrual blood leaves the body through. Talked about this. It is also where you put the penis through to get the semen from the penis to the vagina crevice. Okay. So now the crevice divides your vagina and the uterus. It's located between the two. It looks like a donut with a little hole in it in the middle. This hole connects your uterus and vagina. Lets menstrual blood and sperm in. Alright? Your crevice dilates or stretches open when giving child birth. Alright. Now moving on. Now the uterus is a pear-shaped organ, about the size of a small fist. Alright, it's sometimes called the womb, which makes sense because that's where the fetus grows and becomes a baby. Alright? That's it. And now we have the fallopian tubes. Alright? So the fallopian tubes are two narrow tubes, and their job is to carry your eggs from your ovaries to your uterus. Alright? Sperm travels through them to try to fertilize the eggs. Alright? Now, the fimbria, looks like tiny fingers at the end of each fallopian tubes. When your ovaries releases an egg into your fallopian tubes, they catch it. That's their only job. Alright. So now, moving on to your actual ovaries. It's a place where it stores eggs. It is a finite resource, your eggs. They also produce hormones, including estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. These hormones control things like your period and pregnancy. During puberty, your ovaries start to release these eggs each month. They do so until menopause, where you can't get eggs anymore. Don't have any more eggs. Alright. Now, moving on. The Bartholin glands. They are near your vaginal opening. They release a fluid that lubricates your vagina and makes it wet when you're turned on. The skin glands are on either side of your urethra opening. Your uteral opening. They release a fluid during female ejaculation, and they are sometimes called the female prostate gland. Alright, now moving on. The hymen. The hymen is a fleshy tissue that stretches across one of the openings of your vagina. They are vary a lot in how your vaginal opening covers. They can sometimes, or not always, tear and cause bleeding the first few times you put something in your vagina. Alright, and finally, we have the G-spot, or the Grafenberg spot. It is located in front of your belly button or the side of your vagina. It is a few inches inside your vagina. Your G-spot swells when you're turned on. Some people like the feeling of it touched, same as the prostate gland. Alright, now I don't have a lot more time, but the sexual response cycle is a cycle that refers to the sequence and emotional changes that occurs as a person becomes sexually aroused. Alright. There are 4 phases in each. It doesn't have to be in order. It could be out of order, out of sync. Doesn't really matter. The phase 1 is desire. The general characteristics are muscle tension increase, heart rate quickens, and breathing accelerate. Your skin may be flushed. Phase 2 is arousal. We talked about how many different organs in the body change that state to arousal, and the general thing is that stage 1 intensifies that desire for another human being. Alright, the third stage is orgasm. It is a stage of climax and of the sexual response cycle. That's where the involuntary muscle contractions begin, and muscle spasms, and there is a sudden and sometimes forceful release of sexual tension in the body. And now the fourth and final stage is the resolution stage. During this phase, the body slowly returns to its normal level of functioning, and the swelled and erect body becomes flaccid or soft. This phase is marked by a general sense of well-being and often fatigue. Alright, so that's it. So, bye.